WarCraft was one of the biggest strategy game hits of 1994. It combined building with combat in a fantasy setting and wrapped it all up with frantic real-time play. Now Blizzard is preparing to expand upon that success with WarCraft 2. We recently had a chance to talk with creative director Ron Millar to find out why WarCraft and Dune 2 fans will be invading software stores this December. WarCraft 2 will run on a different but similar engine to its predecessor. The graphics have been bumped up to SVGA, giving the units more detail and allowing you to see more terrain. That's a good thing, since the maps in WarCraft 2 will be 4 times larger than before. A map editor will be included with the game, along with a unit editor that will have a somewhat wider scope than that of the first WarCraft. The most commonly requested addition for WarCraft's sequel has been more races, elves and dwarves in particular. Adding complete races would have taken up too much memory, so instead, the orcs and humans will get allies to bolster their ranks.
The way we dealt with the races, since we couldn't really fit 4 entire races in and all their units and buildings, we sort of intermixed the races. The human side is more like the human allies. They have dwarves and elves and humans all working together, and as you progress in the game, you'll start to see more and more elves, more dwarves. Like, the first thing you come across would be like an elfish archer. That's how we sort of, put the races in like that. On the orc side, they have ogres and trolls. In place of the spearmen, we have these troll axe throwers, and in place of the wolf riders on their side, we have ogres. So, like, we're starting at the land units and the ships out in the ocean are taking on the different races, even though it's sort of the same side. It's more of an allies kind of thing now.
Keeping the game down to 2 main races is allowing the design team to add a host of new features. One of the most important of these will be the addition of water as a major part of the terrain.
We actually toyed with the idea of doing another mostly land-based game with just the 4 races, but we wanted to expand the world more than just the races, so we decided to go with water. The water adds ships and other units like that. It takes up the space that would normally take up the space for the elves and the dwarves. We decided we just wanted to go with more of a broader, realer world than just races.
The economic side of WarCraft is also due for some expansion. In addition to gold and lumber, you must also seek out ore on the land. The seas will also be valuable, for underneath the waves lies a 4th resource, oil.
Oil is going to be handled a little differently to some of the other resources. You actually have to build an oil tanker, sort of like a water peon. It'll go out into the water, and you ping for oil. You kind of cast a spell. A little radar map shows you where the densities of oil are out in the water. Then you build an oil platform, and the oil platform, once it's constructed, the oil tankers can hook up to it, kind of like a mine. They take the oil off it, and they bring it back to the shore where the oil refinery refines it. And what that really does, sort of similar to the gold mine. It would go to the gold mine, take gold, bring it back to the town hall, and you'd get gold as soon as it reached the town hall. Same kind of principle out in the water.
Naturally, you'll need ships to defend your oil interests and your coastal cities. Also, the larger maps will make troop deployment an even greater concern, and ships will come in handy here as well. Naval warfare is brewing.
The first ship is the oil tanker. It's like the sea peon. And after that, we have the Elfish destroyer. It's kind of an anti-sub light attack vehicle. Right after that, there's a battleship. It's kind of a heavy attack vehicle, a little slower, but a lot more powerful weapon. We have a transport. It's the only one that can actually transport things around on it. Once they're on board, they can't really do anything. They're sort of locked in the hold. If that ship sinks, they all go down with it. So you really have to protect your transports.
In WarCraft, you were limited to 1 town per player, and you could only build adjacent to a road. Neither of these stipulations will hold true in the sequel. In WarCraft 2, you will be able to build anywhere you can move a grunt to, allowing you to set up multiple towns on different land masses. Also, a fog of war effect will keep your overhead map from revealing enemy movement unless your opponent's troops cross your line of sight. The old strategy of exploring and retreating just won't cut it anymore. In the first game, you could upgrade some of your buildings to give yourself stronger weapons, better defenses, and faster horses. In the sequel, upgrading your buildings can actually give your units new abilities, including magic.
And now, the buildings kind of progress differently, too. You start off with the regular footman, like a soldier, the elfish archer, and then right after that, you progress to knights. To get knights, though, you need to upgrade your town hall twice to a castle, and various other buildings you have to get to. Once you have a knight, he sort of stays around for a while, then after a while, when you get some more buildings, he upgrades to a paladin. And the paladin has clerical spells, so he sort of takes place for a cleric unit.
Another aspect of the first game that will be greatly expanded is magic. Spells were invaluable in the first Warcraft, and its sequel will include a host of new magics that can affect the terrain as well as units.
You might cast explosive runes on the ground, and only your team would see the magical effect of that. Another team that walked onto that area, they would explode, kind of like a trap. Another one of those ideas was drain magic board. So the same kind of idea of when someone else's wizard walked into the area, it would drain all his magic, or any magical beings that were summoned up, their magic would get drained down really rapidly, and then it would fizzle out, the spell. But some other concepts were locusts. Those would eat through your trees. Fear, mind control. One other idea was illusion. You would cast it on one of your characters, and all of a sudden there'd be 5 of them.
One unit that will get handled quite differently in the new game is the catapult. In the first Warcraft, the catapult was treated like any other unit. In Warcraft 2, the catapult must be manned by one grunt who moves and fires the siege engine. This has a very fun and unnerving side to it. Kill the grunt, and you can capture your opponent's siege engine, assign one of your grunts to it, and turn it against its original owner. If you're like us, you've already got friends you're dying to do that to. Finally, Warcraft 2 will feature an expanded multiplayer game as well. At least 4 players will be able to compete on a net, with the possibility of up to 7. The maximum number of players isn't a technical problem, but a gameplay issue.
We're going to attempt to have 7 people, up to 7 people playing at a time. We're not exactly sure how feasible that's going to be on the maps. I mean, that might be I don't think it's going to be a technical issue, more or less a gameplay issue. If there's 7 people all playing on a map, are they going to bump into one another? Is there going to be too much chaos,
If too much chaos sounds like a lot of fun to you, Warcraft 2 will be just what you're looking for. Nearly every aspect of the original game is being enhanced or expanded. Warcraft 2 is scheduled to ship in December, so until then you can count the days and drool, and watch for more coverage in future episodes of IE.